All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Klein, and this is Will Suhring. As was mentioned, we're presenting today on the development of some optical profilometry tools. These projects were paid for by the Commonwealth Center for Advanced Manufacturing, otherwise known as CCAM. CCAM companies are interested in surface characterization because surface properties such as roughness and cleanliness affect the end design parameters of certain of their projects. And they tasked our lab group with going out and finding the best surface characterization tool for in situ work on a manufacturing floor. So ideally, this tool is field deployable so that it can look at something like a ship that's in the field and can't be brought back to a lab environment. It should be non-contact so that it doesn't affect the surface that it's inspecting. In addition, it should be inexpensive so that it can be proliferated and put throughout the entire environment. And it should also be able to reconstruct an entire 3D surface so that a height map can be used to calculate all the desired surface roughness values. When our group went out, we kind of found that there existed two categories of existing profilometry tools, one of which were mechanical profilometers, which are relatively inexpensive and operate by dragging a stylus along a sample surface and measuring physical displacement. Although they're relatively inexpensive, they do have sample contact, which is an unfortunate consequence. There also exist non-contact setups that are mostly very expensive and laboratory-based, and are prohibitively expensive to be able to bring out into the field.
Right, so as Robert touched on, ideally we would have a combination of these two tools. You would have the 3D image reconstruction capabilities of the confocal microscope or the optical microscope, but with the lower price tag of the mechanical profilometer. And what we found in looking in industry is that such a tool didn't really exist. So we set our own task of actually developing this tool. And the result of this work was the first generation portable optical profilometer. It's small enough to be handheld. It's the blue trinket up in the front. It has a fairly low image acquisition time, 10 to 15 seconds, and it has the capability of calculating roughness statistics on the 2 to 12 micron range. Also critically, you can see that the cost is very low. It's below $7,000, which is much, much less than competitive 3D profilometers. So what you can see here is the principle upon which this device operates. So what you do is you have an imaging assembly that takes a series of images of the same area, but at different heights, so in the Z dimension. So you can see the images across the top are of the same area, but different portions of those images are in focus corresponding to different heights in that map. And based on the knowledge of an X coordinate, a Y coordinate, and a Z coordinate, based on what image in the stack a particular portion of the image is in focus, you can stitch together a composite image that's completely in focus because it takes different portions of the composite images. Also with this information, you can create a 3D reconstruction of the surface from which you can deduce roughness statistics. So here we have the user interface. It's very intuitive, and you can easily track different samples or batches throughout a manufacturing process. Also, you can see the reconstructed image and height map in the middle there. So we were happy with the results of the first generation, but we pressed ahead and made a second generation. So instead of using a traditional mechanical linear actuator to step through those varying planes of focus, we're using a liquid lens, which you can see an animation of in the bottom left corner there. And what that does is with a piezoelectric actuator, you can deform a membrane, which changes the optical characteristics so that you can get, again, a stack of images, but in a much smaller and faster package. It's about 10 times faster and actually $3,000 less expensive because the control hardware is not quite as expensive. So in conclusion, the tools which we've developed are alternatives, are good alternatives to products which are currently available for purchase. They've been extensively benchmarked against NIST standards, and because of the versatility of the optics, you can switch them out and use them on a variety of different materials. So going forward, we are going to do more extensive testing of the liquid lens generation. We're considering classifying cleanliness with the images that we're gathering. And finally, we're partnering with the funding organization, CCAM, and pursuing commercialization of these devices. So thank you for your time.